It's difficult to see the signs. Other people may tell you that the friend you are with, the significant other you chose as a life partner, your siblings, or even your parents do not have your best interests at heart. They see what you cannot. And even though they see what you don't see, they don't know your experience like you do. So how can your friends know? The people who truly care about you are willing to take a huge risk at causing you offense, as they are willing to offer you insight and help at the risk of losing your friendship even. And yes, you will become offended because it's natural. It's a part of the process. It's a sign that what is systematically being done to you without your knowledge is working. And even then, having your friends and loved ones point things out to you that are being done to you that shouldn't be done to you, you won't see it and you won't believe them. See, being involved in any kind of relationship with a narcissist will eventually lead to something so dismantling that it may take your whole lifetime to overcome. If you allow yourself to become entangled into their web of lies and crazy making, and this is easy to do because the narcissist beguiles you and enchants you, leading you through deception, that it's okay to trust them, even when you shouldn't. And your friends standing on the outside of your life can see exactly what's going on, but you don't trust them because all your trust is placed in the narcissist because you're just too close. See, once the narcissist has your trust, they set you up to break those bonds of trust all over again. They do so in a way that's coercive, as they force themselves on you in a different way each time. That sets you off balance. And this way continues the facade that leads you to believe that they are someone that maybe just needs a little bit more love, needs a little bit more attention, needs a little bit more patience from you. All the while you lose yourself and you lose your circle of friends. See, the narcissist is all about keeping up appearances. They have to put on a superficial mask that leads you to believe that they are just like you, and that they are just like everyone else, that they are like your best friend, that they are like your favorite sibling, that they're like the person down the street whom you would personally get to know if given the chance. See, the narcissist is a risk taker, as they take a huge risk with you. They risk you finding out who they truly are. But that risk is not so risky because there's damage done before you have any chance of finding out who they really are. I'm not trying to talk in circles. This is just the facts that when you get involved in a relationship, any relationship with a narcissist, whether it be a coworker, a friend, a best friend, your siblings, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your nephew, your grandparents, your niece, your mom or dad, anybody is a potential narcissist because, as you know, it begins in childhood. And the narcissist sets you up for a fall. They are lying and deceitful, and they can't be anything but. However, they do tell the truth when it is convenient for them to tell the truth. And when they befriend you, well, this is a setup, as it's a lead up, as they lead you to believe that there is everything truthful with them, as they lead you to believe that they are showing you who they truly are. No, they're not. When in fact, they are purposefully hiding. What does that mean? They are intentionally being deceitful with you. Oh, they know. If you knew who they truly were, the foul-mouthed, lying-tongued, disingenuous from the start type of individual, you would stay away from them. The narcissist needs you more than you need them, but they lead you to believe that you need them just as much as they need you. And because the fact that they need you, they will beguile you and trick you into becoming their friend and then becoming their lover. They will befriend you so that they can take from you. And once they earn your trust, oh, then comes the most evil and diabolical part of the relationship, my friends. As if tricking and coercing you into a relationship against your own free will through deception isn't bad enough, that it is. But the trickster has something else up their sleeve, as they need to keep the facade going, and they can't keep up appearances for very long. That's why they do this switch up on you. This is why I believe the narcissist runs so hard and fast at the beginning of the relationship. They set the tone of the relationship by telling you things that they think you want to hear. And they lead you to believe that they are being honest and genuine with you. They say things like, I have never met anyone like you before. You are heaven sent. God picked you right for me. Oh, you're too good to be true. You're my golden child. You're my best employee. You are someone who has been sent from up above. And then only after a few months later, they want to take the friendship to the next level, or transition from an acquaintance to a friendship, or from a sibling to a best friend. The narcissist runs hard and fast, and then they run hot and cold. They run hard and fast just to hook your feelings, to get you emotionally committed to them. And then once you are, they then turn hot and cold at the ready. Because once they have your trust, they then can return to normalcy. They can then be themselves as being someone whom they are not for your benefit is extremely uncomfortable for them. Some narcissists can hold out longer than others, but once that boundary of trust is overtaken in the friendship or whatever relationship you have with the narcissist then has to find a way to maintain the relationship. But how? It's hard for them to jump through hoops continually. They can't continue the way that they have been with you so far. It just can't be done. See, they forget how they interacted with you right from the get-go, because everything that they have done from 1 minute to the next has always been superficial, and nothing was taken to heart, because the narcissist doesn't have a heart because they have no empathy. It does not serve the interest to take your feelings into heart, and they can't anyway. It's like going on a diet. Do you remember when you dieted to lose weight and you were successful at that diet? But as soon as you reached your goal, you ditched your diet and you slowly returned to your own pattern of bad eating habits, and you forgot all about that diet. And after a while, you realized that, oh, I need to get on that diet again. But you forgot what you did in that diet that worked. You forgot your eating plan. And so you adopt a new eating plan. This cycle of abuse on yourself happens because your heart was not invested in the diet plan in the first place. Oh, your mind was. Your mind is, I got to lose weight because I got to look good. But your heart is, you need to lose weight because you need to stay healthy. But that's not where your mind and heart line up. You lead in your diet with your mind. And that's why your diet doesn't stick. You did not see the value of omitting fats and sugars from your diet in the first place. You just saw the ultimate goal, weight loss and looking good in those tight jeans or that little black dress. And that is exactly what the narcissist sees when they get into a relationship with you. They see the end result. They see how you make them look good. And they see how you are someone that they can control. They beguile you and entice you with ways that work, but their heart is not in it. And they conduct the relationship from their headspace, their ego, as their ego is centered all around themselves, and they neglect to take anything that you say, anything that you do, through the heart where empathy resides, because they have no heart. They cannot appreciate you, and they cannot appreciate what you find dissatisfying in the relationship. So they won't change. They expect you to change. When they stop their dieting of keeping up appearances so you won't leave, well, this is when the relationship changes for you and it blindsides you. Because they know you won't leave because you are emotionally committed to the relationship. So now they feel comfortable enough that they've reached their goal and they can stop their dieting of being kind and nice to you. And they return to who they are normally. When they return to normal living, this has serious consequences for you because you have never seen this side to the narcissist before. They are moody, arrogant, intrusive, lying, sarcastic, rude, and abrasive, and even toxic in their nature. Their passive aggression is hard to take, and this leaves you bewildered, wondering if how they are acting is all because of you. Welcome to the next phase of your relationship that will last for the entirety of your relationship. It's called trauma bonding, and it is meant to keep you from leaving, even though you know you should. This is the phase where your friends see what is going on, but you can't because you are so emotionally invested, so emotionally twisted and tied up in knots. And you have seen the narcissist at their worst, and you have seen them at their best. And you wonder how someone could be seemingly so kind and compassionate and genuine that it is difficult to admit that the narcissist has any ulterior motive. Even though you know your friends and family mean well, you choose to put their years of friendship and companionship aside and give the narcissist the benefit of the doubt. Even though you share history with those whom you love and who love you, they are going out on a limb to share something with you. You decide to take the narcissist side, whom you barely know, and this is exactly what the narcissist wants. And if you take the narcissist side, oh, then the narcissist believes that they have your loyalty. And when they have your loyalty, oh, the abuse gets more abusive. Because then it is easier to isolate you away from those whom you care about. And they do this for a reason, because what they're up to, who they are, is so sinister and diabolical, you won't believe it yourself unless you endure it. Welcome to hell. And this next phase is the one that is lifelong, and it will never let up. It will only get worse as the narcissist sets you up for emotional failure. After the phase of limerence in the relationship, after the honeymoon phase of the relationship, the narcissist shows you who they truly are, as they use who they are to further control you. Remember, I've said this so many times, that the narcissist is all about control. Everything that they do is centered around self-motivation, because everything that they do is centered around control. Now, how the narcissist sets you up for control is done through a systematic turn of events that is a cycle repeated over and over and over and over to break down your resolve and to make you compliant, docile, unassuming, and afraid of them. This cycle is one of abuse and should not be tolerated. And this abuse turns to devaluation, to then positive reinforcement. The narcissist abuses you to assert control over you. Then they demean you to further bring you down to size, to make you feel so lowly that maybe you're even at the point of depression and suicide. And this causes you to decide to distance yourself away from your friends and loved ones. And then when you are at your lowest point, they give you positive reinforcement through heartfelt words and gestures of gifts to get you to believe that the narcissist isn't so bad and that they are sorry as this taking away from you, taking away your emotional power, withholding and then rewarding you with gestures of affection from the narcissist. This is unhealthy. It forms an unhealthy attachment known as the trauma bond. Trauma bonding is used to gain control over you, and all of the narcissist leads you to believe that the unbecoming behavior of the narcissist is your fault. It isn't your fault. Trauma bonding is a means to control you by preventing you from ever discovering your self-empowerment. The narcissist wants you to be dependent on them for life, as they depend on your loyalty for life. Now, before I continue, I would like to ask you to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. This channel has been created to help all of us actually, to understand the ways of the narcissist, both psychologically and spiritually, as it is my endeavor that this channel become a source of hope, help, and restoration to all of us who have been the targets of narcissistic abuse. My name is Shannon Gilmore, and I am a survivor and a thriver of narcissistic abuse since early childhood. I have shared some of my trauma with you, as you have helped to heal me of that trauma by allowing me to share with you insight through these videos. So thank you very much. Creating videos for you is my way of giving back to you. It is my life's work. It is all I do. As I've been helping others through psychological means, since I was 17 years old, I became a peer support counselor. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a psychologist. I do endorse psychology only because it can be backed up biblically, as I believe understanding how we tick can help us to understand who we are by nature and who we are as God's children. We are all works in progress, and I'm just here to help. I have authored books, e-courses, e-books in the self-help genre, but also in biblical understanding in Bible studies to help you understand who you are as God's son or daughter. And I share hidden insights in my work through video and reading content, as doing this type of content online is all that I do. I would have loved to have gotten a bachelor's degree in psychology, but the trauma that I suffered from narcissistic abuse dictated my course in life. And I had a family before I was ready, and I caused them pain and suffering. And now, as I embark on the second half of my life, I'm just finally beginning to figure out who I am. I am so grateful to have this platform for all of us to learn from. So I thank you again for taking the time to watch these videos and learn and work on your own healing. I encourage you to take notes, ask me questions if you like, as this is your channel too. We are brothers and sisters in the Lord, and we are our brother and sister's keeper, and our knowledge through our experience can help lift someone's spirits to keep them going and not allow them to become defeated by the narcissistic trauma experience. So that's why I ask you to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't done so, as this video is then, by your generous support, put in the front lines of those who need to see it. I am a trained peer support counselor, and I work in areas of intervention and prevention of suicide. So please, if you need to talk privately, my email is always available for you to use. So let's talk trauma bonding. It's an experience that no one should have to endure, but we do. And once you see it for what it is, the easier it is for you to recognize the cyclical pattern so that you are never wondering, what did I do? How can I fix the narcissist? How can I make them happy? Well, the narcissist wants you to believe that it is all your fault, that you are in some way directly at fault for their rage, their aggression towards you. And let me say this, no one has the right to verbally and physically abuse you. No matter what you think you have said and done, no one has the right to ridicule you, push you around, and demean you. You do not have to accept their abuse, and the reason why we do accept it is because it slowly creeps up on us as we become desensitized to the abuse. Now, your reaction in trauma bonding, blowing up, getting angry, getting agitated, that is a normal response. And I encourage you to look up on my other videos that talk about detaching yourself emotionally from the narcissist, as detaching yourself will help you to not emotionally give response to the narcissist. Now, I know this analogy is pretty severe, but have you ever cooked a lobster in a pot of boiling water? I am not certain if this is true because I don't eat lobster. But the analogy makes sense that if you put a live lobster in a pot of water on the stove and you slowly turn up the heat, it is believed that the lobster will not feel the pain when it is being cooked to death. In nature, frogs burrow themselves in the mud at the bottom of the pond in the fall, and this is to ready themselves for hibernation through the winter. They actually freeze in the mud. And as soon as the water warms up in the spring, the frogs thaw out. And they act as if no harm had ever come to them. The point I'm trying to make using these analogies is this, that trauma bonding is a cyclical pattern that slowly progresses over time, slowly doing the most damage at the end of the abuse. So the abusive pattern of trauma bonding worsens. And before we can ever recognize that the narcissist is the problem, it's too late. The damage is already done. We are emotionally bound in loyalty to the narcissist as we are led to believe that we need to alter our behavior, as it is our behavior that causes the narcissist to be abusive towards us in the first place. See, we are rewarded by the narcissist for our changed behavior. And we are rewarded with the narcissist's positive reinforcement of love bombing and hoovering as they lead us to believe that the abuse will never, ever, ever happen again. But it does. We just get used to it, and no one should ever get used to abuse. Trauma bonding is emotional abuse that leads to brainwashing called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is described as having a mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, and/or attitudes. The inconsistency between what people believe and how they behave motivates people to engage in actions that will help minimize those feelings of discomfort. To ease our feelings of discomfort in trauma bonding, we go along with the narcissist. We follow their lead. We begin to believe that they know best for us and that they have authority over us. Examples of cognitive dissonance are seen as explaining things away or rejecting new information that conflicts with existing beliefs. That is why you do not take your friends or your family's advice when they see the abuse or suspect that you might be abused, because you are encountering cognitive dissonance. Enabling the narcissist's behavior by saying, oh, I'm sure they didn't mean it. It's not all the time. And, I was wrong. This is also cognitive dissonance. It's enabling behavior. Trauma bonding creates overwhelming feelings that cause you to struggle with your heart, your mind, and your very soul. Because the abuse switches back from abuse to kindness and loving intimacy. It is important for you to understand that trauma bonding is what happens when the narcissist manipulates you and your feelings through harassment, lying, coercion, mental and verbal and physical abuse. This is never, ever okay. Trauma bonding happens between not just two lovers, but friends, family members, elderly, the young, people in positions of power. And it is hard to spot trauma bonding because of the dynamic within different relationships. However, there seems to be two criteria that help you to identify trauma bonding. Firstly, the trauma bonding is a cycle of abuse, so it's not consistent. It is dependent on intermittent reinforcement. What this means is sometimes you're treated badly, sometimes you're treated well. It's intermittent, just like our moods, and it's dependent on the moods of the narcissist. And this is what sets you off balance, because narcissists are very moody. And because you assume that someone is having a bad day, as we all can have those, we tend to give the narcissist the benefit of the doubt way too much. And some people have more bad days than they have good days, or those off days are only just once in a while. So when you are shown the off days from the narcissist, you are then showered with loving kindness, known as love bombing. You might be given gifts or treated to a wonderful time at the spa or a wonderful dinner. All these things are meant to regulate your mood, to take the edge off so you don't convince yourself that it's time to let go of the narcissist, or maybe even consider leaving the narcissist. Remember, everything is done with control in mind. The narcissist controls your moods by controlling you, and that is exactly what trauma bonding is. The narcissist is nice for a reason, and yes, love bombing is a way to control your moods as well. The narcissists, they're nice for a reason. It's not because they are nice, it's because they have to be nice. And it isn't because that they are sorry that they give you an apology, if you're lucky to receive one. They are not empathetic. They are apathetic towards you, as they are only managing your mood to see if you are disappointed or disenfranchised with them. If you're disappointed, you are then sitting in judgment of them, and no, this can never happen. They cannot be judged. They cannot have you judge them. So if they offer gestures of kindness that you accept, then this is how they disarm any judgment from you, as they lead you to believe through deception that they are truly sorry and they are capable of change. No, they're not. But what happens is this reinforces the trusting bond that you have with the narcissist. And this suppresses the negative memories of the past problematic behaviors of the narcissist, and you are led to believe that all is fine. The narcissist uses your empathy against you to trick and betwixt you into believing. See, your cognitive dissonance is used against you. The narcissist uses their ways to trick you, as your mind tricks yourself into believing that the narcissist is kind and nice. And everything is fine until the cycle of abuse starts up again. And it will. Now, the second reason for trauma bonding is that it's just one of power. It's meant to set you off balance, as Trauma bonding disempowers you from maintaining ultimate power and control over yourself. You don't recognize initially that this abuse is used as a means to control you. However, you and your friends soon realize that you are not the same person that they once knew. You no longer engage in the things that you used to do. And you slowly wean yourself off of the fun things that you once did. And you isolate yourself to ask the narcissist permission for you to do things that you once did before. You feel that you have no choice in the relationship, as now the narcissist is no longer your companion, but a dictator, an authoritarian, a parent perhaps. And you feel that you have no choice but to comply and do what the narcissist wishes, wants, and desires of you, as this is the only way to maintain a sense of peace and normalcy in the relationship. So what are the signs of trauma bonding? Well, you feel unhappy. And you may not even like your friend or your partner anymore, but you feel dependent on them, and this is what they want. They financially cause you to become dependent on them. They cause you to become emotionally dependent on them, as you realize that you are emotionally unable to do things and financially unable to do things the way you once did. And you don't want to hurt their feelings, so you don't say anything about it. You fear their repercussions if you leave, as they might become abusive to you or themselves or to the people that you love or any animals that you share. They make it impossible for you to leave. They promise they will change and you will give them time to make the appropriate changes, but in actuality, there's no effort made on their part to make any changes that they promised. And another way to recognize that you're in trauma bonding is that you're more mindful of the good things that have happened in the relationship than you are of the bad. You ruminate about the good feelings that you have when they are around. You use this as proof that they truly care about you. You enable their behavior. You put your hope and trust in them, thinking that you are the one that can change them. You protect their abusive behavior by staying silent of your own abuse. If you know and can recognize that you are in an abusive relationship, or you realize that you have been in one in the past, ask yourself this. If you'd encourage a friend or loved one to leave, had they been in something similar that you have endured, what would you do with that advice if you gave them, if you saw in your friend or family member what was happening to you and you gave them advice to leave? Ask yourself why it's easy to give them advice, but you can't take your own advice. That is a sign that you are in a trauma bonding relationship. Now, if you had trouble answering this and you feel powerless and unmotivated to make a move to leave your abusive relationship, that is also an indicator of trauma bonding. Many people who have not experienced trauma bonding will often say, why does that person stay? I wouldn't. I don't know why he or she stays. This is seen so much on social media. One can see the negative backlash and advice given to those who stay. And I'm going to say this from one person who has been trauma bonded to another, perhaps you. It's not for us to judge, so please don't listen to those people who do not know what trauma bonding is. Offering judgment comes from a place of not understanding, so please don't take their judgments personal. Until you have been in a situation yourself, you will never, ever, ever know and understand why people stay. Statistically, it takes a person 7 to 9 times to leave an abusive relationship for good. And oftentimes, the 9th time is the last time. Because the ninth time leads to some sort of ultimate trauma, such as murder or suicide. I say that with a heavy heart because I do deal with suicide, and this is a common occurrence. Just because you do not think that the narcissist is abusive, and because they take you back that they love you, each time you go back to your abuser, the less and less respect that they have for you, so the more abusive the relationship becomes. And where there is a lack of respect, there is only hate. And that hate from the narcissist turns to abhorrence. Now, no one sets themselves up to be abused on purpose. We can't help but form trauma bonds with abusive people. This is normal. It doesn't make it right, but it's a normal pattern of abuse. And it's only because we have been lied to and deceived into forming what we assume are healthy relationships. But in reality, they are toxic to our emotional, spiritual, and physical health. Forming toxic relationships with a narcissist is poison to our very souls. Trauma bonding is a response. There is a perceived threat, but we can't be sure because there is a barrier of trust formed through positive reinforcement that causes us to delay in our reaction time. We often respond to threats in a fight or flight response, or we freeze frame, or we fawn. And fawning is trying to right the wrongs, where we go out of our way to make the narcissist happy and put them in a good mood. Your brain recognizes the stress and sends a signal to your body, and that chemical response kickstarts you into survival mode. The release of adrenaline and cortisol trigger emotional and physical tension. Now, there are times when the abuse is just too painful and too difficult for you to work through on your own, and so you focus on the positives and ignore and block the rest. This is a dissociative response. Making excuses to rationalize abusive behavior is enabling behavior, and it is the cognitive dissonance or the brainwashing that happens through trauma bonding. And each time you endure another reason to stay that goes against your better nature of who you truly are, the cognitive dissonance deepens. And this tactic tries to reinvent your identity to suit the narcissist and their identity. Another chemical response that happens with trauma bonding is a hormonal response. Dopamine is released when positive reinforcement is given, as this offers a relief response to end the flight or fight or freeze response. You just feel safe again. The dopamine creates feelings of pleasure and ease, and this can become addicting. It is what strengthens your bond to your abuser. So when your body needs a boost, you will try to make the narcissist happy by earning their affection, and thus they will give you theirs. This release of dopamine response, allowing you to feel safe and secure in your otherwise hostile environment, is toxic, but this is what happens. You're not in control of this. Another hormonal release is oxytocin. This is another chemical response that is released that is bond strengthening. It can create feelings as it also eases fear. So physical affection through physical intimacy with your narcissistic abuser will alleviate the stress as this releases oxytocin in your brain. And this is why it is sometimes hard to let go of an abusive relationship, because the sex and intimacy is so good. It isn't. It is the chemical release from the intimacy that you crave. Because it is released through this type of bond, you are then falsely led to believe that you have a connection with this person. This connection is what takes front row and center stage over everything else that has taken place in your relationship. So how do you break the trauma bond? Understanding the signs of trauma bonding is the first step. And let me say this, it isn't easy to break the bond. This is why we repeatedly go back to our abusers time and time again. Understand that it's going to take as long as it takes. And it's going to take maybe a handful of times of leaving and returning to the abuser before you finally leave for good. Because in that trauma, each time you go back, you become more aware. And you begin to understand the dynamics of the trauma bonding if you're really intuitive and really are eager and desiring to work through your trauma and set yourself free. So recognize that enabling behavior, recognize what enabling behavior looks like in your relationship. Ask yourself, if it was someone else, would you allow them to get away with hurting you as they do? Also, write down the events and what has transpired between you and the narcissist. Write down what was said between you and the abuser, as this can help you recognize trauma bonding, gaslighting, deception. Every narcissistic relationship has some similarities, but they also have their differences. So writing things down helps you to clarify the nature of the abuse. What you endured in one relationship, you may not always endure in another. So just be aware of that. Make note of the trauma, the abuse, and the promises of changed behavior. Note when there isn't changed behavior, as journal keeping will help you better recognize the cyclical pattern of abuse and when to watch out for it, as there are tells when this pattern is about to rear its ugly head. Again, I encourage to practice detachment. Now, I've talked about detachment in another video on my YouTube channel, so just go check out my channel and geek out on all those videos. What detachment is simply disengaging your emotions from the individual so that you can recognize the abuse when it happens. To not allow yourself to become emotionally invested in the moment of the abuse helps you disengage yourself so that you can better recognize the true person you are witnessing behind the facade they built themselves around. Research the behavioral patterns of narcissism. Talk to others, find support groups, and ask your friends and loved ones objectively about what they have seen and witnessed, and be willing and ready to hear what they have to say, earnestly and honestly. Brainstorm with them ways that you can better manage the situation. Ask for their advice and help. Don't be ashamed or shy to ask for a helping hand, or a bended ear, or a shoulder to cry on. You are not at fault for enduring the abuse in the relationship. You need help? Ask for it from those whom you love and whom you trust. And when you are ready to get yourself free from the relationship, as hard as it is, it's important to cut yourself off from the abusive person. Now, this isn't easy to do. I recommend holding a liberation ceremony, writing a letter stating your perspective to the narcissist, and saying everything in that letter that you have ever wanted to say to the abusive person but never could. Collect their phone number, their pictures and things given to you, and purge yourself by reading that letter to a rock and then maybe throwing that rock into the water and burning that letter and burning those mementos, as once they're burned, you can never get them back again. Delete the person from your phone. Have someone delete the pictures and the phone number on your phone. And have them go through your phone just in case you made a screenshot of their phone number. Yes, this happens. I've done this myself a few times. Sometimes we do take screenshots of their phone number and delete the contact number in courage, only to re-enter and ruminate through those feelings of nostalgia again. And we go into our photos and we copy their phone number into our contacts again. We're only delaying the inevitable, as we are giving into the trauma bonding when we do this. So if you can, have your friends and loved ones go through your phone, your pictures, your contacts, and just make sure that the narcissist and abusive person stays gone. Change your email, your phone number if you can. It's important to distance yourself in every single way possible, as this is for your health and sanity. At times you will assume that you are being too abrupt and that you don't want to seem hurtful. Well, this is your time to put yourself first, because your feelings matter and you are doing this for you, not for them. They never cared about your feelings in their relationship. It's not about them. It's time to put yourself first, as this stops the abuse, as your no contact sends them a message as well as it sends you one, that you love yourself enough to never let them abuse you again. The abuse stops today, and hopefully this video will help you to grab the courage that you need to stop the abuse now, today. Now, at times going no contact is not possible, especially when you share children with the abusive individual. You still can create physical distance, and you can have a witness with you when you have to engage with the abusive person. Do not use your children as leverage. Understand that you may need to talk to someone professionally in whatever type of situation you find yourself in with the narcissist. You can talk to a therapist and make sure that they understand the dynamics of narcissism, or a life coach such as myself. We can help you understand the patterns of abuse, as therapy and life coaching offer you a non-judgmental platform to express your views and ideas, as well as giving you a safe environment to feel heard, so you can heal in your timing and in your way. I personally can help you explore some hidden dynamics that allow trauma bonds to take place. We can work together on helping you set healthy boundaries with yourself and with others. I can share with you some self-parenting techniques and modalities that will help you to reestablish a trusting bond with yourself. Together, we can confront some interpersonal issues such as abandonment issues and rejection, self-blame and unworthiness, and self-criticism and self-harm. I can help you understand some triggering areas and offer loving guidance to help you understand the importance of what self-love and self-acceptance really means for you. Whatever you decide, it's okay. However you choose to heal, please take time out for you. That's all I ask. The most important thing is to do this for you. Take time to reacquaint yourself with you again. Do things for you. Find time to smile and feel joyful again. Listen to uplifting music and find time to fall asleep to positive affirmations, and maybe take in some meditation practices. In my experience, it is all about letting go and letting in the new. I never knew how to love myself before, and it turns out that that is the key to letting go of the trauma bonding and letting God in. And self-love is preserving, and it never allows that type of abuse to ever happen again, because love is protecting. So here's to you and your successful relationship with you. It will take time, and just remember to go slow, and bathe yourself in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. Love is patient, love is kind. It is not rude, it does not boast, it keeps no record of wrongs, it does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Trauma bonding is a symptom of abuse, and the abuse that happens in your relationship is never, ever, ever your fault. The trauma bond is a natural process that happens to everyone. It is a coping mechanism as it is used as a means to keep yourself safe and protected in an unbalanced and hostile environment. You are worthy of having a healthy, happy, loving relationship. You are a beautiful soul, and you have a lot to give, and you have purpose, as God does have a plan for you. Trauma bonding is something that you can break free from, but it's going to take some work, as it's going to take some time. So I'm hopeful that this video has helped you to understand what trauma bonding is, and that you can set yourself free from a lifetime pattern or a short-term pattern of trauma bonding. No one has the right to take away your free will choice, as no one has the right to change you, as no one has the right to say and lead you to believe that you are less than. You are wonderful just the way you are. You were you before you met the narcissist, and the fact that the narcissist wants to change you shows you that they are the inferior ones. They're intimidated by you. You can believe that one. The narcissist, they cannot change, and they want you to change because who you are makes them look and feel bad. You show them up. In this video, you have learned of what trauma bonding is and what it can do. It is meant to bond you to life to the narcissist in a way that takes away your free will to be your own person and instead become the person that the narcissist wants you to become, a person who is fear-mongered into compliance. The narcissist wants you to become a person who has no individuality, but instead finds their individuality through the narcissist. You can set yourself free. It just takes time, and it takes trusting yourself once again to remember that you were somebody before you met the narcissist. Even if this toxic person is your parent, I encourage you to watch my video entitled Fear is the Weapon of Choice of the Narcissist. It has interesting insight that will help you detach from the fear-mongering and trauma bonding tactics. So I invite you to check it out. Let me know what you think. Well, my lovelies, thanks for crushing narcissism with me, as today we looked at trauma bonding, and I trust now you know. And I trust that you are now empowered to take back your emotional power. My name is Shannon Gilmore, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and give this consideration of subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you, as always, for watching, and be blessed.